Harris here. I am at Boston College. It's the day before Thanksgiving, so campus is empty and it's awesome. And this is the 16-inch MacBook Pro that I've been using for a couple weeks now at school. I want to share my perspective on this computer, and this video is presented by Clean My Mac X, the best program for your Mac to keep it safe, clean, and running as fast as possible. Check the link in the description if you're interested. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first change I noticed when I took this out of the box was the only really downside to this upgrade, and that is size. The 16-inch MacBook Pro has gotten bigger in every dimension, a little bit thicker, a little bit longer, a little bit wider, and a little bit heavier. And I'm a person that notices changes in weight and thickness. If you give me an iPhone 6 and a 6S, even though I haven't picked up either of them in so many years, I'd be able to tell you which one's the iPhone 6 because it's thinner and lighter. I noticed this. Some people might not notice it too much, but it is there. And it seems like a step in the wrong direction for students who want something to be minimal and streamlined, to be in your backpack and not weigh too much. And Apple went the opposite of this direction. However, pretty much every upgrade to this machine is due to the fact that it is a slightly bulkier, not bulky, but slightly bulkier machine. So it's up to you to determine whether the increased size is worth it or not. So here are all of those improvements. I think one of the best things that this laptop brings is increased battery life. And who doesn't love increased battery life, especially students who are always forgetting their chargers, always forgetting to charge the computer, etc. So this has the biggest battery in a laptop that you're allowed to travel with, that you're allowed to fly in the United States with. That's pretty awesome. And battery life is about an hour longer than the previous generation of computers. So around 11 hours of battery life on this computer. So it's going to be excellent for working on online homework, assignments, any type of project you have for school, writing papers. You're going to get a little bit better battery life out of here. And Apple does ship the biggest wall chargers that they've ever shipped with a Mac, so you'll be able to power it up quickly and effectively with the wall charger included inside of the packaging with this Mac. Now, secondly, Apple's done a lot with the speakers and microphones on this computer. So Macs for years, really since the 12-inch MacBook, have had incredible speakers on the devices, on the computers, and this is no exception. It still has about just as loud, a little bit louder speakers than the previous 15-inch MacBook Pros, which were really, really loud, but this sounds so much better. You listen to this, it's deeper, it's richer, there's a lot more bass there. Apple has a lot of software here to kind of balance the sound a lot better and to get rid of the echoes and allow for deeper, clearer bass. So this will definitely suffice for a speaker inside of your dorm room. Maybe not at a party, but it gets really loud and it sounds so good, and that's really awesome. So you might not need a speaker in your room if you have something like this. Now, secondly, Apple's put in incredible microphones into this computer, and if you want to hear what the microphone sounds like, oh, you're actually listening to it right now. I just switched over for this shot. So this is the built-in microphone on this computer. It's really good. Apple says it's studio quality for school projects, for videos, for online chatting, all this kind of stuff. This microphone is going to be awesome for that. You won't ever have to buy another microphone or really have to worry about poor audio quality in any movies or films or, again, just school projects that you're working on, because the microphone inside this computer is so impressive. Now, unfortunately, the built-in camera on this computer is still pretty bad, but you do get a really good microphone, and that's really cool. I think students will be able to use that in a lot of different ways. Now, if storage or performance is ever an issue with your Mac, whether it's the 16-inch MacBook Pro or your older one, the sponsor of this video has an awesome program that will help speed up your Mac and more. So Clean My Mac X is a handy program that allows you to find old files, duplicate files, buried files, unused files, hidden folders, all these things, and allows you to easily find them and delete them completely. It'll give you a great visual of what is using your storage on your computer, and it clears on average around 30 gigabytes of storage for users who use this. It'll find apps that are draining your battery or hurting your computer's performance in an easy graph. You can see apps that might be collecting data without your knowledge, or programs that are doing more than they should, and you can stop that. It'll check for any apps that need updates so your computer will stay on top of its game and up to date. And the best part is that this software is officially notarized by Apple. If you want to keep your Mac safe, fast, and long-lasting, check out a free demo of this software using the link in the description. I definitely recommend it. All right, and the next change that has been made possible by a slightly bigger Mac is the keyboard. So with the 12-inch MacBook, the one with a single port that was tiny and Apple made a few years ago, Apple went from a scissor switch keyboard to a butterfly mechanism keyboard, which may not mean much to you, but it's basically just a lot thinner, and for a lot of people, a lot less satisfying to type on because there's so much less key travel. But it also caused a lot of durability issues with crumbs and dust and dirt getting underneath the keys, and it was kind of a mess. Apple has reversed what they did with the butterfly keyboards, and now they're back to the scissor switch keyboards. So if you have one of the older MacBook Airs or the MacBook Pros before they had USB Type-C, so before 2016, you already know what that keyboard's like. You know how great it was, and it was a staple keyboard on any laptop. Apple brought that back. The keyboard on this machine is fantastic. It's pretty much very, very similar to what it was before this renaissance of the keyboard, but Apple's finally recognized that durability and typing experience was suffering, so Apple has brought back the previous keyboard. If you didn't ever experience the keyboard in between, this won't be a big deal to you, but if you're like me, you will appreciate this, and if you're upgrading for one of the newer Macs, the keyboard on here is great for typing papers, for working on Word documents, anything you're doing, you will appreciate the better keyboard on this computer, unless you're one of those crazy people that liked the older, flatter keys better, but if you are, I'm not actually making fun of you. But I am. Okay, and then power. So this machine starts at an expensive price point, around $2,400. You can get a student discount, but the good side of that is that it is ridiculously fast. I think it's so much faster than pretty much any student would need it to be. Now, if you're several years into your computer science career, or you're a film major working with 4K files, or a photo editor, you will be able to take advantage of the power of this machine. But for most people, this will be so fast, a lot faster than you need it to be. But that means that down the road, you will have that extra performance. And if you ever start editing video or photos or doing computer science or data compilation, all those things will be able to be powered very well by this machine. It's got extremely fast RAM. It's upgraded to 66 megahertz, 16 gigabytes of RAM, a super fast SSD in here. It starts with a 6-core processor. There's a lot of power in here. For most students, this is overkill, but doesn't mean that you won't still appreciate it. So yeah, it's definitely important to know that this computer is overkill for the vast majority of students. Doesn't mean that you won't appreciate it, but you definitely don't need this much power that is in this machine. But if you get it, just know that it will be blazing fast and it's awesome. Now, Apple's also done a good deed this year and made storage upgrades cheaper. So this starts at 512 gigabytes of SSD, which isn't a bad amount. For most students with your files and storing things online and all that kind of stuff, 512 will be enough storage, but if you work with, again, video or a lot of large files, then you probably want to upgrade. It's only $200 more to get a 1 terabyte SSD, which is what I have here. I think that's a great value, or $600 to make it a 2 terabyte, or you keep going up to 8,000 gigabytes, which is insane, but it's a lot of storage, and it's a pretty good deal actually if you want to upgrade your storage. So the last thing about this computer would just be USB-C. Now, this is pretty much standard on laptops, and the last few generations of Macs have only had USB Type-C, which means that you will need to carry around a dongle or an adapter to use things like USB or HDMI or an SD card. Not a big deal. It does still have a headphone jack at least. So this computer is pretty much the most computer you can fit into your backpack. It's awesome. It's got the best keyboard in years. It's got the touch bar. It's got a huge screen that you can do a lot of work on. The speakers are really good, and the microphone will be great for working on school projects. The trackpad is pretty much the best trackpad you can buy on a computer, and it now has increased battery life and just absolutely insane performance if you're looking for just the best computer that you can fit in your backpack. But if you don't think you need this speed, or you don't think you need this size, then you can definitely get cheaper options. Anyway, I'll leave links to everything I mentioned down in the description. Make sure to check out Clean My Mac X to keep your computer safe and running smoothly. But thank you for watching.